How are you doing?
Good. I definitely cannot wait to get the new intro up because this one still says it's Wednesdays. And as we know, today is going to be Tuesday at 7 a.m. that this is going out. So I definitely have to get a new intro out there so people don't still look for us. I mean, they can find us on Wednesdays, obviously, but
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. So happy to be here today.
Me too. And everybody, welcome back to the Find Your Wise podcast.
We have new logo.
Yeah, we have a new logo. That's been a lot of fun to work on. I love it.
It's been a great job. Yvonne is fantastic with all those things. Oh my gosh.
Maybe I need to start a new career in graphic design or something.
Yes.
I do it for a hobby for everything and I love it, but I don't know, I love coaching. So
maybe you can do both.
Oh, well, welcome back. Like I said, I am Yvonne. I am your go-to financial wisdom person and giving you some life upgrades, I hope.
And I'm Indira. I'm your certified leadership coach. And we are really happy to help you here to talk about how to create good habits without losing your mind. And also how to get rid of bad habits without losing keeping your dignity, really.
Yeah, that is so important because today that's what we're talking about is habits, how to build good ones, break the bad ones, and survive the messy middle. Because one of the worst things you can do for yourself is to not become the person that you know that you can be.
Oh, that's so true. And it's like, those awkward moments when you're trying to replace that TV show that you watch every night and you want to just watch one TV and you continue for almost a few hours and then you lose the time that you were supposed to be reading. And when you say, I'm going back to that habit, you finish watching TV with a book in your hand. So we're trying to avoid those type of things.
The story of my life. Late night YouTubing, laying in bed. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. And let's talk about why do habits actually matter so much in the first place? It's because habits, and I love this, it's like compound interest for your life because they seem really small and like they don't really matter much what you're doing at the time. But over time, they can add up to really huge results or big problems if you're not careful because they're, can cause huge problems because not all habits are good habits.
Oh my gosh, that is a financial metaphor, but I like it. But it's so true because habits is like an autopilot. It's like the thing that continue in our life, but driving in a unconscious way. So it's a good way for us to forget about the things that we have to do once it is embedded in our brain, and it help us to go and save time and decision fatigue. Because instead of thinking that you have to brush your teeth, you just do it. And that's the place that we want it to be.
Yeah, unless you're like a teenager and it's a negotiation every night.
Oh, yes.
Can I stay up late tonight? No. Why? Every night.
Yeah, let me tell you, until that habit is embedded in our brain, is a negotiation all day. And same as you mentioned, in teenager is the same thing happen with us because it's still in our conscious mind. Yeah. So one important point that we have to take in consideration is that when we're creating habits, we have to focus on our identity and not focus necessarily on the results. So there's a difference between results-based habit and identity change habit because there's a slightly difference between them.
Yep. So like the key is actually shifting your identity. Instead of saying, well, I'm going to try and work out, you tell yourself, I am somebody who moves my body every day. Like, when you're starting to change eating habits, it's not a diet. It's a lifestyle.
Yes, exactly. And identity, that's a game changer, identity-based habits, because you're reprogramming your brain unconsciously with who you want to become. And that's when that really makes a difference. So now that we talk why, let's talk about how.
Exactly. Sorry, but I do.
How can we do it?
Like, they tell you to do something, but you're kind of just left standing there going, okay, that's great. I know what to do, but I have no idea how to even start, So let's give some strategies here for how to create some new habits.
Yes.
The first one that I want to come up with, and I'm totally negligent in doing this, is starting small. I know I mentioned last week how I have all these grandiose ideas, but I really need to check myself with that. And that's why I was talking to you last week about, how I have to kind of stagger my habits.
Yes. And our mentor, John Maxwell, he said that you'll never change your life until you change something that you do every day,
So
because
true.
the secret of success is in our daily routine. So we have to be very mindful of not underestimate the value of making small improvements on our regular basis, just like you mentioned.
Yep, exactly. Because tiny habits build momentum. And if you want, like, if you want to floss every day, you start with one tooth. I mean, literally, that's what you have to do.
That'll be scam for dentist. Yeah, but that'll be a good way to start everything.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that when I was trying to start the gym, I used to just show up.
Yeah.
Sometimes just be there. And I put myself in the same gym that my kids take classes to force me to be there. And then I have some regrets if I do nothing. So those type of things. Yeah.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, the point of starting small is it's harder to say no to something that's really small. And then once you start, you're more likely to keep going. If it's overwhelming you, you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah. Another one that we talked about last week is about, you mentioned goal stacking, but
Mhm.
here we can mention habit stacking,
Yep.
because you can pair your habit with something, a new habit with an existing one. And that will help you to keep it together. For example, when you're making your coffee, you can breathe deeply a few times, and that helps you to go back to mindfulness.
Yep, I like that. I really like it. So that's kind of how I'm dealing with all of my new habits that I'm trying to incorporate this year. Um, Another good thing that you can do is like brushing your teeth. Do you give yourself 3 affirmations in the mirror? I'm strong, I'm capable, won't lose my cool during today's meeting. That's the little things.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to implement that because it gives you brushing your teeth a more meaningful thing, because it's not just shh, also you're doing something more instead of it automatically.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that reminds me the book that I read a few years ago from Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of In Yourself. And in that book, he gives you actions that you have to work on a daily basis, but more in a more meaningful way. For you combine your habit with something else. And that really makes a difference. Another thing that also we have to take in consideration is the rewarding part, because habits are easier to stick if there has some little payoff, really.
Yep. And it's true. It's very true. But, the reward doesn't always have to be food or shopping, because a lot of times that is our go to thing. Oh, I was really good on my diet this week. I'm going to eat a piece of cake. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be as simple as just checking off a box on a calendar. And that's why habit trackers are really, really popular, because that feeling of completion can just be really satisfying in itself.
Yes, I can tell you. One of my favorite is the sticker chart. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm a grown woman, but I still love Gold Stars. And I trained my son to go to the bathroom using that, and it was fantastic.
Yep. I mean, you use whatever works for you. The key is just to make it really satisfying so that your brain goes, I want to do that again,
Yeah, that's true. So let's tackle the bad part. Bad habits. How we break those ones.
Oh, bad
And those are
habit.
the toxic ones. Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones that that you should leave behind. But then they text you at midnight, like, hey, are you up? I mean, it happens. It has happened. I'm
Yeah.
not naming names, but it's happened.
Yeah, it's true. And sometimes you even, for example, ice cream. Or people that love the
Mm.
ice cream and they remember that have the ice cream in the refrigerator at midnight because they couldn't sleep, they go back to the refrigerator. So how can we break those bad habits?
One really easy way, well, I say it's easy, but I'm the type of person that knows it's there, is to make it invisible. You just remove the temptation. Like for me, if your bad habit is snacking on chips, then just don't put chips in the house, because like I said, if I can make it invisible, put it in the cabinet, but if I know it's there, it's still easy for me to go and get it. So, and I'd be the type of person that would die with the bag of Cheetos in my hand. So yeah, just don't bring them in the house.
And what if the habit is like something about scrolling on social media or online shopping or something like that?
Online shopping is a big one for a lot of my clients. And what I suggest, and they hate me for it at first, is to delete your shopping apps. Remove the credit card info, things like that. Anything that makes it really inconvenient for you, then you're less likely to, have to reinstall an app or go and find your credit card and put all that information in.
Yeah, that's a good recommendation. I used iPhone screen time. So it
Yep.
just for me to remind me the
Smart.
time. So for example, after I have 15 minutes, it gives me if I'm doing something that is important, I will continue the 15 more minutes. But if it's
Right.
something just spending time, I know it's up time. So I disregard that.
I like that. I think that's really good. Another thing you can do is just make things really unattractive. So you can reframe how you see a habit with things like changing spending habits. Think about what you're buying, not so much in terms of how many dollars that you're about to spend, but think of it in terms of how many hours of work do you have to spend in order to buy what you're buying. Like
Ouch.
you make $20 an hour and you're buying something for $100. Think about the hours you're spending at work to buy that.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And that can be very effective.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Also, we can, when you pay cash, also you can see that because there's
Yes.
some connection when you pay cash than when you use credit cards.
I love it.
Another thing is make it difficult. For example, like you mentioned about the chips, I love Nutella. But for me, it is easier to make one decision in the supermarket of not buying it that just have it in the house and eat just one spoon. It won't happen. I'm
Right.
going to eat more than one. So I prefer not to buy. So it's good to make it difficult as well.
Yep. No, I agree. Another thing you can do is, and this is vital, is you replace that habit. Instead of eating chips while watching TV, try chewing gum or drinking tea or something like that. Because when you remove a habit or you're trying to remove a habit, you cannot leave a void.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, for example, that you were talking about scrolling on the phone, we can pick a book or find something instead that we can use in terms of that.
Yeah. Doom scrolling. Yeah. And don't forget can't talk today. Don't forget to track your progress. And we emphasize this so often on the show. Celebrate your wins. It really is important.
Yes. Even if it's just saying, oh my gosh, I didn't eat that snack.
Yep.
Progress, not perfection. And this is something that we consistently saying, as Yvonne mentioned. If you celebrate the little small thing, your brain feels that he's being rewarded and then continue looking for those type of dopamine.
Yeah. And then remember, your bad habits usually have a trigger. So you need to identify what sets you off and then avoid or change that reaction. For me, most of my bad habits are triggered by stress, which I know is very common. I'm not going to get into all the details because, stress is an overlaying thing, but there's little pinpoint triggers that I have to know. And it's really important for you to know those if you're trying to break a bad habit.
So you brought a really good point, which is self-awareness and self-assessment. Those are key for us to recognize where the bad habit is, because the habit can help you and also can make a disfavor. So it's our idea how we're going to do it, but the main thing is that we have to be aware. And once we know, we continue that assessment, and that will help you along the way.
Yep, it's about boundaries, people. Boundaries, creating boundaries for yourself too, not just for other people. So now let's talk about messy middle. This is the part where you've started building a new habit and breaking old ones kind of in that middle, but it feels like you're just running in place because you're not good at the new habit yet. And the old one is still just kind of looking over your shoulder.
Oh, the struggle boss and the population asked, oh my gosh.
Absolutely. I'm on it. But this is where most people actually give up. Here's the thing about making habits. It takes time. And I know there was a really popular thought several years ago about, 28-day habit formation thing, but studies show that it actually takes anywhere from 21 up to 66 days to form a new habit. So it can take longer than you expect.
Yes, I think. And what about breaking bad habits? Breaking bad habits, it takes even longer.
Yep.
So have some grace for yourself. Progress is not linear. So it's different.
It is, but that's exactly where tracking comes in, because even if you miss a day, it doesn't help you spiral out into missing a week.
Yeah. One of the things that people used is put restrictions on themselves. Only miss one day. So if you missed more than one day, then you have to go back and restart your habits. But if you, for example, you have that commitment, and that comes with having some commitment even when you start doing it, and put some ground rules. The same thing that you would do for everything else. You said, I'm not going to miss 2 consecutive days.
Right.
So that makes it easier sometimes, because that also help you with your new identity that you're creating.
Yep, that's so true. Another one really thing that, see, I can't talk today. We need to not do this. I'm used to 8 o'clock at night. My brain has had time to engage.
Yes, probably.
But another good thing that you need to do is find a support system. Share your goals with friends or join a community. There's a ton of them. It doesn't even have to be like in your direct community. If you can do something local, great, but there's a ton of Facebook communities that you can join, because accountability is everything, and having somebody to answer to can make a huge difference.
Oh my gosh, we know that. We're
Oh, we
coaches.
do. That's how we
And
started as accountability partners.
exactly. And the environment, as you mentioned, is a game changer, because in reality, people around you, they can make it fun, and they also can make it more difficult. So it is so important to have a support system that really supports you and help you in your process, and communicate that you're pursuing that goal, so that your people in your environment can also support you, if there's the supportive one. If not, then you have to look for another place, like Yvonne said.
Exactly. All right, so let's recap this. If you're building habits, start small, stack them against existing routines that you already have, reward yourself, and then track your progress.
And if you're breaking a bad one, make sure to make it invisible and attractive and inconvenient. Replace them with something that is better, and celebrate your little wins.
Yes, yes. And just remember that habits are not about being perfect. I know that we all struggle with this, but it's about being consistent. Small steps lead to big changes over time. Remember, compound interest.
Yes, light compound interest for your life.
Exactly.
So look at you and bring it the full circle.
Yeah. Well, can I say I'm consistent?
Yes.
About most things.
Yes, but really, we wanted to thank you for tuning in, and we thought that this episode was appropriate because it's the beginning of the year.
Yes.
And these tools, I'm going to implement some of the things in the new habits that I'm trying to form, and also bad ones that I want to remove. So if you think this episode it gives you some value, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and share with someone that really can benefit from this. And also leave a comment.
Exactly. And remember, you're just one small step away from a better life.
And until next time, stay consistent and stay hustling.
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much. See you next week.